Hello, team. Today's challenge is Digital Detox, where we are given an array of dates and we need to test two things. We need to test if there are no more than there's no more than one login in every 4-hour period, and there's no more than two logins in a single day. So a little bit of trickiness here. There's also a little bit in here where this log, right? They give us this thing, they call it a log, but the dates aren't sorted. So we're going to have to figure that part out too, just to make ourselves a little bit easier. This one is Feb 5th. This one is Feb 1st. Not really working for us. We're going to sort that out. So over here, let's get it started. First, I want to sort out the time gap. Okay. In fact, that's a good name for it. Let's call it time gap because we're going to switch these to dates. Okay. And when we do that, everything is going to be in milliseconds. So figuring out what our 4 hours is, very important, right? That's going to be 1,000 milliseconds times 60 seconds times 60 minutes times the big one, which is 4 hours, okay? This gives us a number, I think it's like 1,440,000, something like that, milliseconds. You can do the math later if that's curious to you, but this gives us something that we can test against, okay? The other thing that we need to do is convert our logs to actual dates. And we're actually using the date interface today because we have dates that it might be the previous day at 11 p.m. and the next day at 1 a.m. And we need a way to do that math easily. The easy way in this case, first time for everything, but the easy way is to use the date interface. Generally speaking, date is tricky business, right? Date math. Very tricky business, but we can do that. So we have those logs, okay? Right here, we are going to map. This gets the job done. We can take that date, we can convert it to new date and toss that in there. That is going to be date. But when we do this, it's going to be locale specific, okay? The time zones are going to mess with you, and this is why date math is really, really tricky. So what we're going to do is we're going to force it to be UTC time, okay? We can do that here, wrapping this up in a variable. Excellent. Right behind it, put a capital Z, and we're done, okay? That ensures that we've set the date as UTC time, and then we're going to test using UTC methods, okay? The last thing is sort. Now, again, it is milliseconds, so we can just do some simple math here to get it done. And that is going to be A minus B minus, hello, there we go. Good, okay? So now we have this dates array, and it is actual dates that we can do math against, and it is sorted, okay? Sorted low to high, so in good shape. Down here, we're going to do something. It's going to be on that dates, and it's going to be every. Now, if every condition that we test against is true inside of here, then the whole thing returns true. If any one of those things is false, then it kicks out, returns early, and returns false. So pretty performant, right? Inside of here, we get that date again. We're going to use the index, and we're going to get the array. Okay, and there is a reason for this. I will show you why we're using array and not just accessing dates directly. Okay, but right here for the moment we are in it. Okay, the first thing that we need to do is get the previous and the next dates. So again, we're going to access that off of array. It's going to be const prev date equals array index, come on, square brackets, index -1. Excellent. Do the exact same thing, copy it, paste it down. This is going to be next, and we're going to go plus, okay? Brilliant. So we have those previous and next. Little catch here where they might be empty, right? If it's the first item in the array, there is no previous. If it's the last item in the array, there might be no next. We're going to have to test against that in a second, but we'll get there, okay? First things first, we're going to return date minus previous date, previous date, just like this, greater than time gap. Excellent. Again, previous date might not exist. So this could be undefined. Doing anything minus undefined returns nan. Or sorry, when you try to coerce undefined into a number, it returns nan, which means that this is hot garbage and we need to do something. The easiest way is to force it to be a 0, okay? Which solves that, not a problem. So a couple little bits here where we need to coerce some stuff, right? We'll come back to that. But for now, we're moving on. We need another test, okay? And this is going to be both dates, right? The previous day, the next day, because what we're going to do is we're going to test if previous day, date, and next date are all the same. So we'll test previous date equals date, next date equals date. If that's all true, then we know that we have 3 logins in a single day, and that's a bad deal, right? So right here, previous date dot get, not capital, get UTC date, okay? Remember, previous date might not be there, so we need to force it, okay? And that is going to be equal to date dot get UTC date. Excellent, okay? Doing the same thing, copying it, jumping out, ampersands, pasting it, changing this to next, okay? One more thing here. We've tested to make sure that this number is greater than our time gap. So this should return true if our logins are far enough apart, okay? This returns true if we have 3 logins in a single day, and that's not what we want. We want the opposite of that, right? So right here, we need a bang just to flip it around, and now it works, okay? So a few hurdles here to get it done, right? We calculated the time gap. We converted everything to dates and made sure that it was normalized, that it was sorted so that it made it easier to use. And then we tested against every. And every will return early if it finds a falsy value. So if any one of these things is not true, then we return early, problem solved. So we don't have to loop through everything. Now, last little bit, okay? The array in here, instead of using dates. Why did I do this and not just access dates down in here? Well, because of this, okay? If I take all this and I copy it out, I'm gonna have to move time gap up as well, so we'll do that. But right here, I have a function. That function might be called is valid detox, okay? Just like this, we paste all this in. This is not a valid function. We need to get rid of the fat arrow, back it all out, and clean it up. Now we have time gap outside. It could stay outside, or we can move it in. It doesn't actually matter this time, okay? But now that we have this function, we only create this function once. Down here, we create the function every time we go through the loop, right? We create it every single time. Well, what if we didn't have to do that, right? This is a bit of a performance enhancement where we take all of this, just replace it with is valid detox, and it still works. But now we're getting a performance benefit where, again, we're only creating the function once. So the function is in memory once. We just call it every single time instead of creating it every single time, which makes it more efficient, okay? And makes it easier to test, honestly, right? Like we can actually test this function, and then we can test this function. Lots of testing going on, which is always a good thing. That's it for today, right? We jumped through a few hoops to get there, making sure that we were that our dates were going to line up with UTC, using that UTC information, getting it all done, making it work, and I think it's a pretty solid solution, honestly. Not to say that it's the only one, though. So if you did find a better one, if you found something that I missed, or you want to share something, hit me up in those comments. Otherwise, for today, this is it, and I will see you tomorrow.